Hi, so I'd like to take a few minutes to talk about the conference I went to and what I experienced. And I'm going to start with what happened today when I got the privilege to hear Joe Biden speak. First of all, I got to speak at the same conference as Joe Biden. To me, that's a huge honor. I don't know how many people get that honor to speak at the same conference. And what I spoke about was around accessibility through a everybody lens. How does everybody view accessibility? And so that was super important to me, and I'm going to explain why. So as I'm doing this, I didn't have necessarily a lot of people show up, but I was okay with that because it was 4:00 in the afternoon, and I knew people were going to get ready for a concert that night. And not only that, a lot of times people don't think that that's important. And sometimes people don't know what intersectionality means. It means multiple identities in one, or a couple of identities. But I got a pretty good group that were asking me amazing questions. There's a reason why I'm prefacing all this. When I went to go see Joe Biden, I was overwhelmed. Absolutely overwhelmed when I walk into the room. It was a big room. I hadn't been in that room before. And I was already overwhelmed by the conference. I mean, it was overstimulating. I've never been to a conference where I've been to conferences before, but there was like flashing lights. I mean, just like, I got a mimosa, I got coffee, people were offering me other kinds of drinks, and I'm like, I got a lavender lemonade. I mean, it was just really an intense, I saw someone get on the plane I was at that got a light up cowboy blue hat. I got a picture of myself with the Affleck duck. Okay. I mean, this is like, it's kind of like going to Vegas on steroids in a way, in this big hall. And I kind of walked through it a little bit, and then I went back to my hotel and I slept really hard because I don't do well with overstimulation, but at the same time, I'm curious. And so as getting towards the end, I'm overstimulated. So I see the room is so big. So I go to the ADA section and I sit down. And the ADA section isn't necessarily in the best location. It just isn't. And we did not get the best seating. The best seating was up higher, but I also knew with the way everyone was infiltrating in and with how overstimulated and overwhelmed I was never going to get a seat if I didn't go to that section. I just knew me. I knew my disability. I knew how I function. So I'm sitting there. And I'm going to explain a lot of things in this. This is very impactful. I'm sitting there waiting for Joe Biden to speak. And we're talking about President Joe Biden, okay? The one who was president, that was vice president with Barack Obama, the one that was president before Donald Trump, or in between the two Donald Trump eras. And so President Joe Biden was going to come out and speak. And I'm sitting in the ADA section. Now, we have reserved on the seats. On the floor is a sign that you see a wheelchair with yellow. You know it's ADA. And someone's also waving with their arm, ADA section. This is what happened. Now we're talking about HR managers. We're talking about HR. People who are in charge of policies with disabilities, policies around accessibility. We're talking about people who should know better. I had people walk up and say, "Can I sit there?" I don't know how many people did. And I got to the point where I just started pointing down. I stopped saying things. I had no ability to say anymore. I was just getting overstimulated just to begin with. When I get in those modes, I just don't talk. And well, if you heard what I've been diagnosed as, you'd understand why. And then I had them walk over me and go sit next to me. And I'm sitting here going, really? And a woman who is manning that area had to walk up to them and say, "This is for ADA." for people with disabilities. Oh, we're sorry. Not paying attention at all. It gets worse. A woman with perfume, and people are allergic to perfume, comes out and comes and walks in front of me and sits down. Now, if people are allergic to perfume, or, I mean, I don't do well with that stuff anyways. It could have given me a headache, and I was like, I was livid at that point. And they're like, you can't sit here. And I'm like, this is horrible. How can you as HR managers do that? You should know better. Now, we're also going to talk about two other things. I had people telling me thank you and then touching me. Strangers. I had a woman touch me and a man touch me. Thank you for letting me know without my consent, without my permission. Really? How do you not know that that's not okay? You need to ask people's consent or permission to touch them. Now, I'm going to share more about my talk and what someone asked me, because I think this is important. I'm going to go to part 2 on this. So, President Joe Biden starts speaking, and this is the kicker. I really want you to hear this. He talks about his lisp, and people start laughing. These are HR people. They start laughing, and he goes, that's not funny. That, I was in so many words, I was traumatized in that. Do you know that's an accessibility? People, and I'm sitting here going, okay, I just did a training on this. You know how many people could have come to my workshop and started to really understand the impacts of what people with invisible disabilities go through and people with visible disabilities go through, and how not to mock them. I just went over this, and these people that are laughing wouldn't come to my class. Now it's recorded so they can watch it. That's what I was really grateful about them doing. SHRM did this, and they recorded it. So it's great that they recorded it so people can have access to it anytime. But a lot of these people would rather go listen to things on AI. Now, AI is important. I do a lot of AI stuff. I'm not discounting that. And then Joe Biden also said something really important, and he talked about his lisp. He said, I think he said his mom, my mom told me, nobody is better than you and nobody is worse than you. You know how impactful that is to say to someone with a disability or an accessibility issue, and to really get that into them? He also said this, community, having community around you, supporting you when you're at your toughest times is vital. And you as HR staff, you have the ability to either be that community for that person or not. And he said how fortunate he was to have family, to have that community. Very powerful talk. Whether you agree with his politics or not, he came there not as a politician, but as a person to say, this is how we need to treat each other. And I wanted to talk about that because I thought that was so impactful to me, to watch people not pay attention that have other people's life in their hands. Traumatizing. They could traumatize another person. And this is more than just skill-based. This is training. We need to have more training in this. This is why I'm doing a lot of the things I'm doing. So I'm going to do a part 2 on this, and I'll back in just a second. Bye for now.